I got something.
Okay. The long pause.
Homegirl is hungry.
I'm hungry.
Anytime in my life where I've succeeded, there's so many times.
She's hella successful.
What if that time never comes? What if I'm just never ready?
But I think when you have structure, it provides so much clarity, and that eliminates a lot of the background or distraction noise of the internal conversations that go on in our head.
In a past life, I was like a porn star or something because
That needs to be the first.
because I literally don't care who sees me, like naked or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's from being a nurse, but I'm like, it's
sure.
just body parts. Like,
Yeah.
I go to the OB, I'm in the stirrups, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so how are you doing today? Like, there's just no weirdness or fear for me.
Yeah.
So I could care less who is in the room, I feel like. But as far as like
That's
family
funny.
and stuff, I'm like, no, this is the game day of game days.
Yeah. I need the top.
I need space from you. I don't want to like feel like I'm hosting you.
I feel like that would be I don't know, just like to feel like you are hosting or doing things that way with a lot of people
so
in the room.
different.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want people in the room that are like, yeah. I'm like, I need like my powerhouse.
Just going to say,
Yeah.
I played soccer my whole life into college, and I've always responded to very direct, like,
this is a marathon.
want to be coached.
Yeah.
I do not want to be
Hard.
coddled. I want to be coached hard.
Yeah.
And
Like that video with that
yes,
lady
that's going viral right
screaming.
now.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Need that.
birth and delivery is the game day of all game days.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if it's just
It
the
is.
athlete in me that will never go away.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I ended up hiring a doula, but I was very hesitant. I only just hired her like a week or two ago because when I would talk to them, I'm like, you're so nice.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I kind of need that shark in the room.
Yeah.
That's because my goal is to do an unmedicated natural birth.
Mhm.
You can go in there with all the plans, and I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to like die on the hill and then come back like with my tail between my legs and be like, yeah, like nothing worked out. I have no idea what's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
But that would be my ideal scenario. And when I would talk to these doulas, I'm like, you're just so nice. I don't want to be coddled in the delivery room.
Yeah.
At least that's my thought in my story right now.
Mm.
And when I talked to the one that I hired, we were just, so I was listening to her talk, and I'm like, we're so aligned on everything. And then there was a question that I asked her or something that came up, and I was like, she's got a little bite in her. Like, she's got some shark in her. And I was like, when I need that, you're going to be able to show up for me. And she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah.
Especially just because it's like, I don't know, I obviously haven't gone through it, but it's such like a marathon where you need people that do show up in those ways. And if you're around too many people or people that aren't like that support, I think it can make or break the experience. I'm so glad that you have like a doula though too, because that I think has been something that's been like monumentally helpful with a lot of people that I've talked to too, versus just like, I'm going to just do it on my own and figure it out,
I mean, that's the same reason why I hired you for help though, is because, people would say, oh, you should get one. And I just didn't know. I felt like, Mitchell was like, our parents did it without any help in the past. And I'm like, okay, but if there's an expert in that thing that I want, and I can shave off the 100 hours of research or the 300 births that they've gone through and have them as a resource right there in real time of going through something that I've never been through, who am I to not have that support through that?
Yeah. And that's a huge reason on why we're doing this Call Her Mommy season series.
So good.
is just because we want to showcase this in real time and like walk people through, should I get a doula? How important is that? Like questions that people have and just guiding them through that with real structure and what that looks like on day-to-day life. So walk us through who you are. So I'm Clarice, obviously.
Obviously.
Founder of Totality. I help women build structure into their everyday life, no matter what season they're in, so that they can get their results that they want and sustain them for the rest of their lives. Haley.
I'm first-time mommy.
Yeah.
I am 33 weeks at the time of this recording. I hired Clarice for her help about 3 weeks ago. I was about 30 weeks pregnant at the time. Yeah.
I love it. And I want to dive right into like a good question, because most women, I probably are looking at you, whether they're pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, and they're like, why are we getting a health and wellness coach before you even give birth? Most people come to me postpartum, or they will consider it 12 weeks down the road. They're rarely considering, hey, I want a health and wellness coach. Not only like towards the beginning, but you hired me during one of the hardest parts, the third trimester. So walk us through like why you made that decision now versus postpartum.
I was going to be one of those girls that hired you postpartum, and I was going to wait until I had the baby and we found a rhythm and I was feeling like I was ready to get back into training and counting macros, or whatever that looked like. Maybe it wasn't counting macros, but of like the journey of rebuilding my strength and my hormone stability and just myself. And then I had a moment of reflection where I was like, if I get through this pregnancy or I go into my next one and I look back and ask myself, what would I do differently if I could go back? I think I would tell myself, get the support earlier. You don't have to just get through this one before learning what you need in this next one.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. What do you feel like was specifically a little bit more overwhelming or unsure on your, like what were you uncertain about on your end that you were like, now is the time versus sooner or later? Because I'm sure like women will watch this hopefully that are maybe 12 weeks or 20 weeks or 12 weeks postpartum. Why now versus any of those other timelines? Like what brought you to that like now's the time moment?
When I say I was going to wait until I was ready to dive back in, when I thought about it, I was like, what if that time never comes? You know, you talk to new moms who are like, this is the most beautiful, but the most unknown, wild, who am I, vulnerable stage of my life. Like, this is hard. Postpartum, whatever you read, whatever they prepare you for, it's harder. I mean, not for everybody, but for some people. And I was like, what if that time never comes? What if I'm just never ready? You know? And that is a very good possibility. So I was like, any time in my life where I've succeeded, there's so many times.
She's hella successful.
No, not succeed. Okay, I hope that didn't come out wrong. No. But any time that I was successful, it was always when I was proactive versus reactive. And when I think about this scenario, if I wait until I'm postpartum, if I wait until I feel ready, that's and it never comes. That's me being reactive. And now I'm like, I don't know who I am. My hormones are in the trash. Like, I feel so gross and I don't know who I am anymore. And I have this baby and like, what? And instead, I'm like, what if we flip the script, use all of that knowledge and past experiences and apply it to this monumental stage in my life and get the support now before I maybe even need it, which that's what I thought before I hired you. And now I'm like, what would have happened if I hired her going into my second trimester? Anyway.
Do you wish you would have earlier?
Now I do, yeah.
Right. Talk about it.
So the first trimester, I went into pregnancy very strong, very lean, very like probably the healthiest. My PCOS was in check, hormones dialed, super lean, had a great routine. And then as you get into late first trimester, second trimester, my experience was your hunger is fluctuating. I was not thirsty, so like I wasn't drinking as much. You crave weird foods, weird being just like more carb heavy, and I didn't even have any food aversion, so I can't imagine the women who are like protein, chicken, no way. Like I was still okay eating them. You're just what you reach for, you're tired is so different.
It's a lot of like convenience too, where it's like you're
so tired.
Your energy's not there to like sit and cook a whole meal.
No.
Yeah.
No, there was weeks after our wedding, because we got married when I was 6 weeks pregnant. Mitchell was like, so what's for dinner? And I was like, don't know.
What is for dinner,
tired.
Mitchell?
You're so tired. And then like you're craving like cereal and cold milk and like weird things that I would normally never eat. And your body is already going through so many changes of trying to grow this fetus and figure itself out. And then you're putting foods in it that you normally don't eat. You're not drinking as much. Maybe you're not moving as much. And there's just this cascade that happens. And that's where I feel like the puffiness comes in. And now you go from being tired to like really tired because of the energy crashes and the blood sugar changes and so much stuff.
Did you have a lot of weird cravings?
No, actually. Such a boring pregnancy in the best way for the most part. But there was just little things like first trimester, I think all of a sudden I was like walking through Costco and they have these massive bag of oranges. And I was like, I have to bring you home with me. But then you read and there's like, you read and it's like, baby needs more vitamin C. So your body just learns to crave different things. But then there was things where I'm like, I don't think there's a scientific reason for this. It's like, I want a huge bowl of cereal and milk, just like stuff like that.
Random little things that way. It's sweet that the body does. It's just made to naturally crave certain things that you need in those seasons of life, and that it's not all the time do you need like a little rule book that tells you everything. It's like very intuitive, and I think that sets you up for motherhood as well. I want to dive into just like your current experience, so like how you're feeling right now at 34 weeks, diving into that a little bit more, but also like in comparison to how you were when we started. So kind of toggling between those two things. And then I want to like hit a couple questions with you after that. So catch us up real quick, a little summary, how you're feeling when we started, how you're feeling now, pregnancy, but also just with having like the structure that you were really wanting coming into totality. And then we'll dive into those little ones.
So I hired you, I think we first talked when I was about 29 weeks-ish, and we started working together when I was 30 weeks pregnant. I travel a decent amount for work. So once a month I was like on a plane and having weird food schedules, sleep schedules because of that. Sleep might be off sometimes. And I was eating healthy, but I wasn't hyper aware of exactly what that looked like, or I'm drinking water but I don't exactly know how much during the day, and I'm working out and walking, but it kind of changes week to week depending on how much energy I have or how tired I am. And so I was just feeling super puffy and inflamed and defeated because I like stopped weighing myself. You don't want to take like bump pics. The thought people are asking me, are you going to take maternity pics? I'm like, no. Like, you think I feel cute enough to get in front of a camera right now? Just that feeling of like, ooh, and like tiredness. And at the same time, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, this is so beautiful. It's just such a, it's such a trip.
We even talked about that on, I think our first like little discovery call was like, you were like, how often am I going to be weighing in and taking photos? Like, and
because
I was
really avoided it.
Yeah, because I even told you, I was like, from day one, I want this to be very collaborative. I say that with all of my clients is, sure, I can recommend things or I can tell you what it should look like or what I would want from you. But I also want you to be in a place where this matches what you're wanting out of it too. So I was like, progress photos, let's set that frequency together. Weigh in, same thing. We're not on a time crunch of fat loss where we need a bunch of data points either. You know, this is such a different season that needs to be intentional with what the data collection looks like too.
But you know what happened as soon as I hired you? And we went through that first week of taking the measurements, taking the progress pics. I stepped on the scale for the first time in probably like 4 months, 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
Besides when I go into the OB, which they're very good about
making sure you weigh in. First thing, you don't even get in the room, in the hallway like an animal line.
Like, can I take my jacket and shoes off to like give me a few
feel better? Why is that a thing?
But as soon as we started working together and we got into that first week of onboarding and had that little bit of plan established, the heaviness of all of that just like completely went away, because it was like, this is my situation and I have a plan now. And so now it's not just me drifting and me seeing the scale go up and not really having a hardcore plan or knowing what's going on. It's, we're working together, we're setting a plan, we're setting a, you know, rough blueprint and working together so that it just feels way more like this is where you are, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
And look at what you're doing and the life that you are building.
Yeah.
And so it was completely different.
I think a lot of people get so in their head and are in that boat where you're like, I don't want to weigh in because I had a really like non-pregnant people even, you know, where it's like just normal life.
Yeah.
I don't want to weigh in because I don't want the accountability of my choices, or I don't want progress photos because I do feel inflamed or puffy. And it's like surreal or like bittersweet. I don't know what the term would be. I think a little sweet that it's like that carries into pregnancy too. Like it's not a massive shift. It's just a continuation of that in different ways, you know? But I think when you have structure, it provides so much clarity, and that eliminates a lot of the background or distraction noise of the internal conversations that go on in our head when it comes to things like weighing in, progress photos, accountability, or all those things. That could be a whole nother
right.
Some like little questions that I have for you. What's been the hardest part so far when it comes to pregnancy, changes in your body, mindset, lifestyle shifts? What's been the most challenging thing for you?
2 things come to mind that have been the hardest since getting pregnant. And I want to go into this by being completely honest and saying I've had a beautiful pregnancy. Overall, it's been very easy, and I know that is not the case for everyone. So I know how blessed and lucky, you know, whether it's all the work that I did going into pregnancy or just luck, I don't know. But I've been so lucky to have a very quote unquote easy and boring pregnancy. But there's 2 things that come to mind. And one is,
we'll also, to preface, we'll talk about the best parts. And we know that you're like so honored to carry a baby and like step into this next season. And we know that you feel so blessed. But I appreciate you. I
get into the good stuff.
I think that can be like very, it's hard because so many people deal with infertility or trying to get pregnant for so long, and it takes years. So we'll get into the good
have
too.
Such horrible morning sickness, or you know, all of those things. Yeah. So it is a weird, a weird thing. But we can talk about all of that stuff for a whole.
We got a lot coming.
We need a lot more energy drinks.
Literally.
But 2 things come to mind that have been the hardest to deal with since getting pregnant. One, your body changing. Some people are just take that with ease and they think it's just beautiful and it's no problem for them. I am just not that human. I love to feel lean and strong and have my clothes fit normal. Like, I love that. And I went into pregnancy feeling all of those things.
Especially because you got married like 6 weeks pregnant. So it's
Yeah.
obviously like you're going into your wedding like, I want to look my best because these pictures are forever, man.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that shift was just like a lot even more heavy compared to like people that are just lifestyle lean.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very hard. And then you're like, oh, I'm eating pretty healthy, I'm moving, and your body is still changing. Well, duh, that's what's supposed to happen. But to me, it didn't necessarily make it feel easier.
Or
Like,
give it
I love my belly. I've
Mhm.
always loved my belly. I haven't minded this at all. It like just if like everything else could stay the same.
Go back.
That'd be so cool. And you know,
Some people are just blessed that way.
Genetically.
Yeah.
I'm just a thick girl, okay?
Yeah.
And I know like I'm still very strong. I'm strong as an ox now as I went into pregnancy. It's just, I like to call it like a little extra layer of insulation. And I'm not even, you know, like I know I still look good and I still look athletic and all those things. It's just there's a mind body weirdness that happens where you're like, I just feel puffy.
Yeah.
I don't really fit in jeans anymore. I like to wear things that are like double XLs and stretchy. So that was a really hard thing. And then just how your relationship or the intimacy changes with your partner. And I know that's very different couple to couple. But you have this belly and like it doesn't feel comfortable to just sit on the couch and cuddle anymore or to like hug is different. It's just a really
all the little things that you don't think of.
It's so crazy. And I mean, I love my husband more than any other human being in the world. I have one of my love languages is physical touch. And I was 6 weeks pregnant when we got, not when we got married, but when I had my wedding. So you go from like wedding, newlywed bliss straight into pregnancy, which is amazing and like exactly what I wanted. But then you're like, wow, like how did we get here so fast? You know, things change really fast. And you go from like one version of yourselves to very quickly transforming into this other version where you kind of have to like show intimacy in different ways or just meet each other, new versions of each other as you're figuring out like me carrying this baby and like it's just such a unique thing.
Yeah.
But they say you're going to fall in love with, you know, 3 or 4 different people in your life. And if you're lucky, it's going to be all with the same person. So
I love that.
So I feel like we're in like the midst of that.
People truly become a different person based on life experiences and things every like 5 to 10 years, I think is what they say. So to be able to say that is like so special.
Yeah.
Going off that, what's been like the best part of pregnancy or something that has been just like such a joy?
Seeing my husband step into like a father or a near father and like watching the journey of, because it's so, I can imagine that it's very hard for men because they're not the one carrying them. They don't feel the body changes. They're not, maybe you're going to the OB appointments, but even then it's like, you're kind of like a bystander in the room of it all. Like you're a bystander of it all until they are here. And, so I have a lot of empathy for that, but he's been like just such a great support system. And he's coming home and being like, this is what I heard on TikTok. This is how you're supposed to, you know, burp a baby. And this is like he's just so invested and he's like so protective already. And he's so supportive of me and everything that I am going through. So it's just really cool.
Man.
Yeah, it's been very, very fun to watch and witness that. And she's not even here yet. So I'm like,
the best is yet to come.
Yeah, right. The hardest and the best is yet to come. So that's been really cool.
Yeah. What has been something that surprised you?
What's been something that surprised me since pregnancy? It's a good question. I got something.
Okay. the long pause.
Something that is surprising is how much people treat pregnant people like they are so fragile. And
wow.
I probably did that too before I got pregnant. And then I got pregnant and I'm like, I'm just pregnant, but I'm still strong. I can still lift things and do things. Like there's a lot. I think that because there's not a lot of like studying on pregnant women, or, you know, there's not a lot that's super, super known, that we tend to be a little bit more conservative with like, we shouldn't do this, just kind of like protecting.
Yeah.
And when you're actually in it, I'm like huge on being intuitive and just listening to my body. And I was like, we are strong. Like we can do more than what they say that we can. And some people can't, and that's completely fine. But me and myself in my situation, I was like, you don't need to coddle me. Like we can do it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But like, I'm good.
Yeah.
That, and then how like the verbiage around everything of like, just wait, was very bothersome to me. I've been so blessed to be around such high achieving people with a very successful mindset and a very positive mindset. So instead of the just wait, how tired you'll be when she's here, I want people in my corner that are like, just wait. It's going to get really fucking good. You know?
I love that. I think that that's such a beautiful thing, because something I say all the time is environment is everything. It's everything. The people that you're around that are speaking into your life, the people that you allow to influence the thoughts that you have and the perspectives that you have, your physical environment, your mental environment, all of that literally shapes you into who you are. And when you're entering a new season of a lot of transformation and change, like pregnancy is, you have to have like people that speak life into your life.
Yeah.
When you're constantly surrounded by people that, even if people have had a really hard pregnancy, I do believe there's people that have had that or have had infertility, but speak about it in a way that is still very, I hate the word empowering, but it's just a different caliber of conversation versus people that are living in a victim mentality all the time. And I'm not saying people like are a victim of whatever or whatnot, just for clarity. Don't hit me in the comments. No. But I think that who you surround yourself with makes such a big difference.
Huge.
So going off of that and kind of what you shared about just like not having a ton of people speak into what you should be doing. Like a lot of people are kind of just like throwing darts or noodles at a dartboard and trying to like figure it out as they go. I kind of want to share a little bit about what the past 4 weeks have looked like with us when it comes to fitness, working out and movement, nutrition, as well as your lifestyle factors. So workouts, I would love to unpack those first. We started you with, because you're training 1 time a week with a trainer in the gym physically, which is awesome. She's been doing that like pre-pregnancy. I think a lot of people have this misconnotation that like, or it's a myth maybe, that you can continue everything that you're doing going into pregnancy, or that like you shouldn't start things that are new. And there's a little bit of a caveat there. Like if you're only doing hot yoga, it's not always great to be in a really, really hot room. Haley, on the other hand, chooses to still do hot yoga.
Don't give away my secret.
No, I'm kidding. But there's
intuition, people. That's just one of those things.
There's some things where you can continue. It's more of it's really case by case. Yeah. And it depends on the person.
Week by week. You know,
moment by moment, baby. So we started with 1 full body workout together where I program for you online. You go through it on your end, and then 1 full mobility day. And this is all to really just like maintain your strength and pelvic floor support and make sure that like everything is moving and grooving, but that you're also able to maintain where you're at and maintain like loads that are put on your body, because you're about to walk into basically a marathon, and we just want to not only prepare your body for that moment but also after. So walk me through just a little bit like how you're feeling with those, the changes that we made with that going into this next week, which will be new for you because you start this upcoming week. We are doing 2 full body workouts. And it's going to just be basically like a progression of everything that she is doing. I do 4-week programs. So she did that same full body workout for the full 4 weeks, and I progress it with like weight or reps or things that way. Again, case by case based on how you're feeling. And then this upcoming week, we'll start the next 4 weeks of this period where it's 2 full body workouts, but getting a little bit more variety compared to like what she was doing. I actually progressed with supersets, but we really just want to make sure that she's recovered enough. So we don't want to hit a point where we're supersetting, resting like 20 seconds in between, and her heart rate is through the roof and she's gasping for air. We want to make sure that ultimately that she's just recovered enough. So that paired with intensity is really important. I use the RPE scale. So just making sure that you're not grinding through reps or only trying to hit PRs. I think there are a lot of women that really do believe in like doing that throughout pregnancy. And I think if you're a big, not just power lifter, but if you lift very heavy all the time, like your body has adapted to that stimulus. At no point was Haley that way. So I wasn't going to be like, yeah, let's PR through this journey. It's more so let's maintain the muscle and strength that you do have while also prepping your body for this season. So that's been the last 4 weeks with fitness. Walk me through where you're at with that. How are you feeling with those?
Good. I mean, like you said, case by case, day by day, it really depends. But overall, really proud of myself. Like I set these times of accountability because I wake up and I'm like, I am heckin' tired. I don't want to work out today, but my trainer is expecting me at the gym. And so now this is just an extra layer of like those days when I wouldn't see my trainer, I was still walking or whatever, but I had no desire to just go and pick up a weight for, you know, those other days. So to have that accountability woven in on the days that I don't see my trainer, I'm like, I just did that. And I got through it and I didn't feel like it, but I did it and I feel good.
Good.
Like just to be able to take that time and show up for yourself and getting the practice of doing that now. Because when my baby is here and all I want to do is just be there for my baby or clean the house or whatever, I know, okay, it's just 30 or 40 minutes and I can run downstairs or run to the gym and I know that I will feel better after and not only count on myself to be able to do that, but then to have someone be like, did you do it? Yeah. So I feel good. Like sometimes I go down in weight. Sometimes I go down in a rep or two, just depending on how I feel. But to just show up and still do it and get the reps in makes you feel really proud of yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a big benefit to you starting when you did too, is something I shared with you, I think on our onboarding call, is I'm so proud of you for taking that step because you're getting the rhythms and routine and habits in place now. You were working out before, but it would have been hard or easier to dismiss certain actions just doing it on your own. Whereas when you have someone just kind of doing life with you, calling you to that higher standard, it's a part of your life when you enter that harder season, you know? And so I mentioned that where I'm like, it's going to be so cool that like you'll enter that next season. And yes, we'll have some time off where like you're just like bonding with baby. Bonding with the baby and trying to sleep when you can. And then when you pick back up, it's going to be so near in the past versus so distant in the future of what those habits had looked like. Nutritionally specifically, I toyed with this a little bit, but I went back and forth on like, do I want to share her specific numbers? Do I want to share her stats? And I don't.
Okay.
Only because I think we're still in an age where a lot of women can take certain things and then just implement it thinking they'll get the same like value out of it or that that's what they need to be doing.
I was that person Googling, you know, trying to look on Instagram, how much weight did they gain? What are they counting macros? What are they like? That was me before I hired you. You're desperate for reassurance or some clarity on like, am I doing it right? Or like, I don't, you know, the relationship with the scale or whatever, like how you're feeling in your clothes. There's just so much unknown that you're desperate for that little sense of like, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
So I was that person.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And my situation's a little bit different than maybe someone else's where with my history of polycystic ovarian syndrome and my blood sugar stuff. So
yeah, and that's something that we've really focused on with nutrition. Over the past 4 weeks, I had programmed or given her a protocol with her carbs. And she is anal with
I am anal
with her blood sugar numbers. And so we actually tweaked those a little bit, just where she felt a little bit more comfortable with them. But overall, we've been approaching in a very intuitive and intentional way.
Yeah.
I do think with intuitive eating, you have to have structure, intention, and consistency. You can't just expect to start intuitive eating without any sort of baseline. Like, you have to have structure and consistency around what that intuitive eating should even look like. So we obviously are in a surplus. You're growing a baby. We need that at this point.
Homegirl is hungry.
I'm hungry. But we're also anchoring things like protein and fiber, protein with satiety, so that she's not just ravenous with all of the food that she would typically like want to go grab out of convenience, while also really prioritizing fiber just because of blood sugar, but also with the satiety piece, also for digestion and all those things.
And because your digestion, your increased risk of hemorrhoids going into labor, like let's again be proactive versus reactive.
Yeah, I love that. And I think overall just the theme of not being perfect in this season, because even after birth, our goal is not going to be perfection where she's trapped. We talked about this already. Like, we're setting her up in a way where she's not falling off track. It's not an all or nothing perspective. Yeah. There's days where you haven't fully logged, and there's days that you've gone over. But overall, for the average of the week, like, you're doing incredible. And I feel like a lot of our check-ins is me pointing out the ways that like are working out very, very well, things that you're doing very well, while also like, hey, like we could get more steps in here in this day or whatever. But nutrition overall, the theme has just been, hey, let's just be consistent. Like, let's just show up. I think initially we set the goal of like, let's track our food 5 out of the 7 days. Going into the managing expectation is everything in coaching. But with the expectation of like, post baby for the first week, like we're not going to be tracking. Yeah. But we have that baseline of tracking every day and getting information of what that should look like, so that when she isn't tracking, she knows what that needs to look like. You started doing something that I would love for you to like share or you are planning to, of just like prepping things frozen just to like have them ready to go with like macros on them. So you don't have much thought behind the action and you don't need to log because you've just kind of been crazy proactive with it. Give them some tips. Walk them through what to do.
My friend had her first baby about a year ago, and the easiest way that I know how to show love to people is through food. And so
she actually brought me.
Yeah, right? Literally.
I'm so excited. She's like a crazy good sourdough maker. What is this called? A baker? And she brought me sourdough.
I brought you sourdough this morning.
I should showcase it. I love it.
But we spent a full day meal prepping frozen meals for her before her baby came. And she said singularly that was the best way that people like that she was shown support during that initial postpartum. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, if it worked, who am I to not do that? So like, let's set myself up for success too. Yeah. And then let's take it a step further and take the decision fatigue out of it versus like people bringing me a lasagna, people bringing me a tater tot casserole. Let's go into it with a little bit more of a plan and pick meals that we know are really protein heavy, and what are different ways that we can incorporate fiber into this meal so that it is mindless and it takes the decision fatigue out of it. Where if I go and grab a, burrito or whatever that is, I know that I'm getting 30 grams of protein from this. And it's just like, you get that clarity, you have that reassurance, forget the rest, move on.
Yeah. Not only with pregnancy, but in life as a whole, I think women have massive decision fatigue. So when you have that, making simple decisions become very, very difficult. And then walk into a season where you're like 2 weeks postpartum, 3 weeks postpartum, like you have so many decisions already to be making that this is going to be just such a way to save all of that brain power. And the last area that we really have been like diving into is just like lifestyle and accountability factors. And this is obviously just very straightforward, but eliminating the guesswork in all areas for you. Like that was something we talked about on our initial call, was not having any bandwidth or mental brain power go towards what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
So that all you have to do is just show up and do it. So making sure that like steps, stress, sleep, all of that is like analyzed, but then we're not looking again at perfection. It's just consistency of these habits over time. And then you're in an environment with community and accountability to call you to that higher standard and defend your goals in moments where it's easy to dismiss it or give yourself grace when you don't deserve the grace, or maybe you do. And we get to like emphasize the fact that like this is a time where you need to extend yourself grace too. So that is, I think, the cornerstone of like what we've been focusing on over the past 4 weeks together, is paired with like 4 pillars is what I was thinking through of like, what have we kind of anchored everything to over the past 4 weeks that these people can walk away with, okay, I kind of know what I need to focus on and what's important at this time. We're not trying to push progress right now. We're just trying to manage a lot of things and make sure that we're kind of just setting you up for success during a very demanding and transformative time of life.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that not one of the biggest, but one thing that you did communicate in this upcoming trimester, you were like, I want controlled weight gain. I don't want to just blow up and be eating whatever I want. I want to manage it well and carry myself well. And I want to emphasize the fact that the goal is not to minimize weight gain. We need weight gain in this 3rd trimester, but we want to do it in a very intentional way. So we also didn't want to just like leave it unchecked.
Yeah.
So we wanted a range of like what that looks like. So for Haley, we decided about like 5 to 8 pounds would be a healthy weight gain in this last trimester based on where she started at with her pre-pregnancy weight. Also where she sits as like a baseline, where like, because going into your wedding, you were pretty lean.
Yeah.
And so I also asked for like baseline outside of that of where you typically sit, and then also where she was at going into her 3rd trimester. And I came up with 5 to 8 pounds as the ratio there, or range there of what we're kind of looking at in this season, because we want some weight gain, but we don't want unnecessary stress on your body or anything that's just unnecessary or too heavy to carry. So most of the approach that has gone with that is not a restrictive approach. It's very much so, I want you to eat things that like your body needs with the anchors of protein and fiber like we talked about. But we just need consistency and awareness and intuition that way. Any thoughts that you have
so
on that?
Many.
Okay.
Okay. First, go back to the accountability thing. Don't let me skip this
I know.
part.
I tried to to move on.
But going back to that, you going into the last 2 months of my pregnancy, getting prepped for birth and delivery, your focus is so strong on baby and like getting the house ready and getting your life ready and going into birth with a plan. Like you're so focused on those things. It's true. Like motherhood, your focus is outward. It becomes less on yourself and more about other people and your family and getting yourself set up. So to have the accountability already there is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just like you got other things you're worried about. You're trying to get prepped for birth and, you know, get a plan ready and buy life insurance, like weird stuff like it, that you're not as focused on those things. So to have that stuff already embedded and to have people in your ear about that stuff is everything, because it reminds you how important it is, and it keeps you on track of being like living the life and being the person that I want to be while also moving my family forward and getting us ready for this next stage. So
I love that.
Wanted to touch on that for
So good.
accountability. And then for this other piece,
the control. Flip me my line. Controlled weight gain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's incredible.
I feel like there's a lot of weird language and culture around bouncing back and gaining weight, and like how people need to, like, maybe my perception of it going into pregnancy was that it was like you were too rigid if you cared about those things, or like you didn't fully accept motherhood and all of its beauty if you still cared about those things. Like they were almost vanity or like too masculine. I don't know. Does that make sense?
1000%.
Okay.
And I think the perspective shift going into pregnancy as a woman as a whole, I think can be very difficult. Yeah.
And then you swing into this other pendulum of like very strong motherhood, which I love and I think that our culture needs. But they're like, are you the best mom if you're, or whatever, if you're so focused on bouncing back? Like, why are you expecting your body to look like you didn't have a baby when you just had a baby? Like, there's a lot of weird, one way or another.
Extremes.
Yes. Yeah. And like people making other moms feel bad for wanting to look good after they had a baby or wanting to be shredded. And I guess where I'm coming from is the biggest things that are important to me is making sure that my baby is healthy and making sure that I'm healthy. But beyond that, with the whole controlled weight gain and wanting to be ripped again one day after I have my baby, is like, why not? You know, if I'm healthy mentally, physically, I'm bonded with my baby, we're kind of like in a flow, why not be the strongest, healthiest version of myself?
I think it's your mindset in it.
Yeah.
Like, I think when people are unhealthy, it is an unhealthy perspective. But when you're in a space where you have if I handle this with excellence, I'm able to show up as my best self in excellence as well, you know? And I think that's so key, because our goal here isn't fat loss now. Our goal right now isn't aesthetics or
even right after I have her. Like, that's not the goal. It's recovery. It's bonding. It's finding a flow.
Yeah. And I think it's a beautiful thing when we want the best out of ourselves. And that's not necessarily a number on the scale or a look in the mirror, but you know internally when you truly are showing up in full capacity of what you have capacity for, you know? And I think that's you just being true to yourself. Like, you are such a driven woman who does things very well. And you know it would be like lowering your standard if you were to not level up after. And that doesn't have to look even like, it's not like a bouncing back mentality. Yeah. It's not, I need to get to where I was exactly.
Yes. It's not fitting in the clothes or having abs. It's that feeling and knowing of, I showed up for myself and I'm showing up for my family by showing up for myself. And I don't need anyone's permission to do that.
Yeah. And with this season, you've done really well over the past like 4 weeks, just with consistency as a whole. Because our goal was like controlled weight gain of the 5 to 8 pounds. I think you're up a pound or two on average.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, I wasn't weighing myself for 4 months, so who knows? Yeah. But like, again, that's why I'm like, I wonder what would have been had we worked together transitioning from that first to second trimester when I feel like a lot of the weight gain happened.
Yeah.
Because was it all necessary or was it not? I don't, you know, you can hem and haw on that all day, but it's pretty crazy now that we have awareness.
Being intentional now.
Yeah. Where like they say, as soon as you get into your third trimester, that's when it all just packs on, right? It's all of these narratives that people give you. And that just hasn't been the case yet. I mean, I still have 7 weeks to go, God willing, but it's been going pretty good here.
I love it. I want to just get through the other 3 pillars that we have been focusing on a lot is strength training. We unpacked a little bit, just like what that looks like on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, but also with like not PRing for you specifically, what our RPE should be, intensity, all those things. Another pillar has been pelvic floor integrity, and just what we're doing with in the mobility day and setting you up before your workouts. Because even just like breathing, standing, sitting, it's a lot more pressure on your pelvic floor when you are pregnant versus not. And so just being very aware of that pressure that you're feeling and just setting you up in a way where you can handle that load. So that's been really big. And then the last thing, I think one of the biggest things is just identity as a woman and someone who's like a wifey and a boss babe, but now transitioning into motherhood. That I feel like is such a heavy part of it all. And something that I think that you could probably speak into as being one of the biggest pieces of like what we're doing together, of just like your mindset through it all, how we're communicating and things that we're unpacking together or things that you're doing on your end as you walk into like this next season of life to preserve your identity, but also expand. Yeah. Because it's going to be even bigger and better because this is such a special calling on your life. Yeah. So
I am figuring it out in real time. Report back. But no, because
I feel like a lot of people are like, I don't feel like myself anymore. Yeah. That are pregnant, or I've lost myself, or I want to keep feeling like myself, you know?
And I guess I can only speak to pregnancy. Like, who knows? I'm excited to have this conversation again after she's here and things are completely different. But I am feeling so proud and empowered. I'm choosing to feel that way about this transition, and knowing of being like, you will probably not be, you'll be a completely different version of yourself throughout this. And that is okay. And like, how can we make that special and a superpower versus something that is like super sad? Now, of course, like there's components that you grieve. The thing that could make me cry on a dime this entire pregnancy was thinking about the fact that like it will never just be me and my husband and our dogs again. Like, I'm so thrilled and so excited, but to think about that is like, I'm like grieving that. So there's certain things that I'm grieving and working through, but like, what an amazing, beautiful opportunity that I have. And I'm going to be someone completely different, and that is okay. And like, I'm so excited to meet her and just go into it with that mentality and the grace of, like, she's probably cool as fuck. Like, let's see.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. We are figuring it out in real time.
I think pregnancy, like a lot of seasons in life, are a paradox where you're in between and you're kind of doing both and figuring it all out. And it's a beautiful thing to be that, because I think a lot of things in life, you're like here, you're there, or like rushing around or whatever, but you're so expectant in this season, quite literally and figuratively, and of what's next. While also, like you said, there's the grieving of things that were, while being so expectant and excited about like what's to come too, you know, and balancing that and allowing yourself space to feel all those things is also such a beautiful thing. The last thing that I want to just ask as we like wrap up is just what you're like so excited for or most like looking forward to as being like a mom. If you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, short term, the biggest thrill of my life will be meeting her and seeing what she looks like. To love someone and then to know that she is literally us. She is literally me and my husband, and looking at baby pictures and stuff and just like knowing her but not seeing her yet. I'm so excited to like meet her and see her and what she's going to look like and what her little quirks are. Like that is just so exciting to me. I'm excited to share my life with her and with my husband and grow our family and experience it all together. Like,
I love it.
Don't cry. So excited. It's all so exciting.
I love it. Well, you're glowing. I so appreciate you coming today and just like being a part of this. It's been a blessing and like such an honor to walk through this season of your life with you. And I don't take that lightly. And so I'm so excited to just do this with you and hopefully continue to provide tools, resources, but just like real life experience of what this season of life looks like so that you guys feel like you have maybe a little bit of guidance or just relatability in this season, pre-birth, but also postpartum and beyond. We
have some exciting things coming up. What are we thinking for like next time?
Yes. Honestly, I want to just like dive more into all of it. Like as I sat down, like full transparency off the cuff, I was brainstorming through so many different things yesterday. And your brain just starts going crazy when you start like, if you have a creative or visionary mind, you understand. But like once you sit down to do that, like the world's your oyster.
Oh yeah.
So like even doing send in your questions or comment your questions and let's do one of like a Q&A. We're going to be unpacking updates in real time, workouts, possibly, hopefully, definitely with a pelvic floor specialist. Cause I'm not a specialist, but I want to walk you guys through on what that looks like for Haley. Unpacking PCOS and GLP-1s and postpartum.
So much tea.
You'll be able to meet the little girl, hopefully, coming up. So you'll definitely want to tune in to all of the fun things that we have.
Yeah. If there's anything that you took from this, I would love to hear, what resonates with people, or if there's anything that you're like, oh, I heard that, but you didn't really go into that. Yeah. Like, I'd love to hear that too.
I want it to be as conversational and casual and beneficial as possible. So however we can do that for you guys, I'm very excited to continue to walk in that and do this together.
Yeah, we could do this all day.
Call her mommy.
Yeah, call her mommy.